Lamar Jackson has won 2 MVPs, and going into the offseason, going into the postseason, everybody was questioning who is going to win the MVP. Lamar Jackson had the better numbers, but Josh Allen, obviously in the AFC East, was dominant. He played so well with a team that lost so many players in the offseason, and he's never won. And maybe some people are saying that the NFL was probably giving him like a lollipop because of all the things that have happened to him over the past year. Well, obviously, you have your own thoughts. You played with Lamar, and you understand Lamar's concept of what it takes to be a superstar quarterback and an MVP quarterback. What were your thoughts when you heard Josh Allen as the MVP at the honors?
I was a little surprised just because of the season that Lamar had. When you look at his 2 previous MVPs and the numbers that he put up this year, they were better than those two seasons. Obviously, Josh is going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. His competitiveness, what he brings to his team week in and week out is in that conversation for the most valuable player. But when I get to see Lamar on a week in and week in basis in practice, obviously on Sundays, it's just on a different level of what he can do with the football. It's pretty spectacular.
So you played with and actually got drafted with a guy that's been very outspoken, one of the personalities of that defense, Marlon Humphrey. He had some interesting comments about John Harbaugh in the beginning of the season. He's had some. He's been one of the trash talking type corners too. What is your relationship with him like, and what are your thoughts on like his style of corner in the game today?
Yeah, I think Marlon is one of one when you talk about personality, how he plays the corner position. He's not just out there covering guys and picking off the ball. He's coming down and thudding people, and he's probably one of the hardest hitters when it comes to the cornerback position. He's a great teammate, a great person, and I'm glad he's on our side because he's one of the best out there, and he has respect for the game too. Like I talk about, like with Derrick Henry, how he takes care of his body, respects the game, and puts his all into it. It's fun to watch.
I want to switch gears a little bit. You were talking, about getting to the playoffs and having to go into, certain atmospheres and playing and doing that. And our format's a little different. What do you think is the biggest difference between the regular season and the postseason for you guys? Because one mistake can cost you your season. Us, we get a little bit of break. Like, we lay an egg, we get to turn around and play again. I think it's fascinating to me and getting to know a lot of guys that have had that opportunity, what their thoughts are on how you try not to be too perfect because you don't have that second chance. It's win or go home. And I always like to pick their brain on, how you're able to slow it down. And I don't care what anybody says. They're like, oh, it's just another game. Yes, it's just another game as far as X's and O's, but like it's a different feel. And I just like to get people's understanding, opinion of how you go into it, knowing that, it's not week 7. And, if we lay an egg here, we're still all right. And it's for me trying to pick a brain and understanding your mentality going into it, understanding atmosphere, leverage of the game, and, who you're playing. I think it's very interesting for me. And I think a lot of people don't understand, our mindsets going into like a postseason game.
Yeah, I mean, for the other 3 major sports in the U.S., it's you get a series, you get 5 games, you get 7 games, and when it comes to football, it's one and done. And like you said, it's not week 7 where you can come back week 8 and figure out what went wrong and have a better game plan the next day. No, you have to be on your best for all 4 quarters of that game, and if not, like you saw with us. In that divisional round, we go home, and like you guys saw on Sunday, obviously a lot of people thought that the Chiefs were going to win, and they didn't have their best game, not even close to their best game. And when you only have one chance or one game to lay it out there, it is a win or go home. It is a dire situation when it comes to the NFL playoffs that you don't see in other professional sports.
Chris, you've been on our show. We love you. And every time you come on the show, the off season is long. Well, we think it's long because the combine and you have the draft and they have OTAs. It goes very, very fast. And the NFL is the talk of all sports. When the season's over, the Super Bowl, we were there at the Super Bowl and we had the opportunity to work radio and be around with some of the former players and even some of the players right now in the NFL. I watched the season throughout the year. And I watched Baltimore, And Baltimore is mainly known for their defense. And this past year, their strength was their offense. You played on the defense. The first 8 weeks, you guys were not playing at the top of your game. It was the final, I would say, 5 weeks of the season is where your defense took off all the way into the playoffs. What happened? Why was there such a mishap when it came to your defense when you had all the additions that you made in the offseason to make this team and this defense better?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like as a defensive player, you want to be the best side of the ball, whether it's offense, defense, or special teams. Like you want to be the side of the ball that the team can rely on, that can count on to make that big play at the end of the game to seal the game. And like you said, those first 2.5 months of the season, that wasn't the case for us. It was Lamar and Derrick Henry leading us, which obviously is a great duo to have on the offensive side of the ball to be able to for the defense to lean on. But the type of defense that we are, and that, like you said, the defense that the Baltimore Ravens have been playing for 25 years, almost 30 years now, since they've become a franchise, it was unacceptable. And we had a lot of hard talks, a lot of difficult conversations as a defense when it comes to how we want to play, what can we do to continue to get better. And really, that last month and a half of the season, we turned it around and we're playing some of the best defensive ball in all of the NFL. And I give a lot of credit to the coaches and the players and all of us for sticking together, because I've seen it where teams have called it quits and then start pointing fingers and start name calling and things like that. When at the end of the day, we're all men. We all want to continue to have success, and we want to have success. And for us to come together like we did in that last month and a half, I was really proud of the defense.